Hey folks, you're about to listen to just a small sampling of the plethora of dogshit posts on this topic. For the full episode that has more posts, plus weekly bonus episodes that have even more awful posts, head over to patreon.com/reportthispost. For just $5 a month, you will finally be guaranteed happiness. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 148 of Report This Post, the podcast about bad posts and bad people. My name is Geiger and that is Christian.
Liz, if you're listening to this, please unblock me.
And we are your hosts with the posts. Every week, Christian, myself, or a listener, definitely in this case, select a topic and then find horrible posts for your listening pleasure. This week's topic, as selected by a real son of a bitch named Cliff, is the Bruenigs, Elizabeth and Matthew Bruenig.
Yeah.
Ugh. What one of the just my man, I don't know what to say.
You know, it was probably eventual because they are very online.
Content wise, this is a good episode. We got some good stuff here for you. In terms of my interest, like we've had topics that were like 0 interest or like 0.2 interest. This is like negative 0.6.
Yeah.
We're in the negative as far as wanting to talk about this shit. I do not care about the Bruenigs. And this is also a Hallmark episode because this is the first time ever that the subject of our podcast actually follows the podcast on Twitter. Elizabeth Bruenig follows Report This Post on Twitter. So there's a very good chance she'll see the episode art that Christian made, which is really something. And she'll see her name and she'll be like, what in the fuck is this?
What is this?
And then she'll listen to us, specifically me, talking about how uninteresting I think she is and her husband is.
Yeah.
And not even, like, I don't even necessarily mean it as an insult.
No, it's not an insult. They're just boring. They're just not interesting people. The drama that surrounds them is fabricated by, like, outside forces, which is very interesting. They don't do anything particularly egregious. They're just
almost
dull.
Like anything they've ever said, I either, like, agree with it or slightly disagree. They've never said anything that was like, oh my god, I can't believe they said that.
I'm going to get in my car, drive up there.
Yeah, it's always just been like, well, I wouldn't approach it from that angle. That's been the most egregious thing any of them have said. Like, oh my gosh, they said that we should have universal health care. Wow, can't believe that was said by some. Yeah, like, what the fuck?
I can't believe somebody in their early to mid 30s.
Some white person online said the thing that every other online white person has said the last 7 years or so.
Yeah, who would have thought?
But to be fair, and I'm not trying to make you guys turn off the episode because there are some good shit. There's actually a lot of good shit here. There's been an occasional odd thing that specifically Liz has said. She will throw out a little. She likes to just throw out a little grenade here and there of controversy, and that's what's most interesting about this episode. Is that for those who don't know, Elizabeth Bruenig, she deletes all of her tweets.
Yeah,
after a while.
Matt's gotten in the habit of it as well.
So this is what's made this episode even more infuriating as far as research for it. So both of them love to delete their fucking tweets. So. And fortunately, there are extremely online freaks who archive those tweets, which we'll get into.
Yep.
But just the whole idea of this weird married couple that's making like $250,000 a year off their podcast. Liz is making probably that amount from just her column in the Washington Post. Yep. Matt's a lawyer, I think, so he's making. These guys are making $500,000 a year easily just from being whatever they are,
not actually having a job.
Yeah, and they are just these critters that are online constantly. People have it's them and like Amy Therese and people like that, where I feel like when people have opinions about them, I'm like, do you actually care about any of this, or are you just like joining in the conversation online? You know,
right? Is it just do you just this is the thing you decide to latch on to for the time being, or what?
Like, what happens if the Bruenigs are not online anymore? Does that change anything at all?
It's just someone having a complete breakdown because they can't go on without their Bruenig fix.
What's interesting is that we will see posts from people who might apply to later. And again, thanks to Cliff, piece of shit that he is, for selecting this topic. Now, was he a patron that chose this topic, or what happened?
Cliff purchased this episode topic.
So Cliff went to reportspost.com, selected the choose an episode topic, put in his credit card information. He went through all those steps and then still selected the Bruenigs after that.
I believe he fired off an email, said, the Bruenigs, you're welcome, is what what the response in the order for this episode was. So thanks, Cliff.
What is the fetish where someone pays money to make me upset?
I think it's because it's effective. I think that's why people like to do it.
What would you? It's not Findom, but it's some sort of weird
it's
thing.
The opposite of whatever it is.
Just like, I want to make. There's a fat little weirdo in Florida that I want to piss off. This grotesque little goblin that lives in Tampa. I want to make his life miserable. I'm going to pay $50 to piss him off for a week at least. Well, Cliff, you did it. Thank you very much for that.
Really good. Thank you, Cliff. Save me the trouble of having to try to do it and then get it to throw directly back in my face every single time.
Yep. Doesn't work when he does it.
Nope.
All right. Well, we've hyped it up, the awfulness of this episode. Why don't we just go ahead and get started? And again, folks, it is a good episode. I'm not, as much as I've complained, there's some really, really good bad posts here. And I was actually very impressed with the caliber of what we found, all things considered. Well, I think I've hyped it up too much, so I sort of went from saying it was going to be horrible to now it's really great. What I meant was that it's actually really bad. So let's meet somewhere in the middle, okay? Can we do that?
Don't get your hopes up, folks.
Yeah.
Great. All right, well, let's kick it off here. So Matt and Liz have a whole gaggle of crotch goblins, seeing as how they're Catholic and all. And at one point, Elizabeth tweeted out a photo of her breastfeeding one of her kids, which is strange, with the caption, "Meanwhile, moms wield the ultimate sleep weapon. No baby can defeat it." And an account at Woke Capital, who had almost 50,000 followers before getting suspended, replied in all caps, "Milky, milky, warm and tasty. Mommy, milky, please be hasty. Refreshing drink from mommy's udders. I want mommies and no others. Give it, give it, give it now. Give me milk, lazy sow. Until you do, I'll scream, I'll shout, I'll cry, I'll whine and stomp about until my belly is full." And included with this tweet is a gif of Peppy the Frog with his arms outstretched making a gimme motion.
Yeah, so this is kind of what we saw a lot of.
There are many references to Liz Bruenig's breasts.
A set that, by the way, is not noteworthy in my opinion, but it's noteworthy because she's a published journalist that will occasionally flash them on Twitter at quote unquote accidentally. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't even know what the hell's going on there. We didn't explain that she and her husband are like strictly Catholic.
Yeah, like traditional
whatever that
Catholic
even means.
Kind of
even
thing. Yeah,
we'll get into more of that, but they're both like very they're like Catholic liberals, which is a rare combo, and that's probably a part of their
appeal,
novelty. I guess is that there's something different. They're not just your classic, woke bullshit. They combine that with this
this feeling of superiority due to their moral standings. Sure.
Yeah. Well, they have that, but it's from a Catholic point of view, which is different. So I found a guy named at MintMunger3000. His name is Bob, and he describes himself succinctly in his pinned tweet. Just to be clear, I am a very center-right kind of chap. Classical liberal to my core.
Great.
No faves or retweets on that pinned tweet. Don't know why he did that. What's most notable about this fellow is that he has tweeted the phrase "mommy milkers" to Elizabeth Bruenigs 7 times since March. Which was when Liz, quote-unquote, accidentally posted a picture of her tits. But as we've spent the last several minutes talking about her tits, let's talk about her feet, huh?
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Well, too bad. She has an entry on wikifeet.com, and someone has uploaded 6 photos of her feet to Ogle. Let's go through the feet here. One of them is where she is crouched in front of the fireplace on her laptop, and you can see about 75% of her right foot. There's one where she's playing with her kids, and you can see the tips of her toes on her left foot. One where she has removed meat from the oven, and the camera's angled high enough, probably from her husband that's 8 feet taller than her.
Large husband, yeah.
It's angled high enough where you can see her entire left foot, blurred in the background, of course. One where she cuddled up with her husband, Matt, on the couch, and you can kind of see the side of her left foot. There's one where there's just an actual photo of one of her feet, and it has weird spots on it. I think she was posting it to show that she had weird spots on it. And there's one where she took a picture of the cookies that she baked on top of her countertop, and the tops of one of her feet are visible.
Great.
Her feet have been rated 3 out of 5 by 17 WikiFeet users. User JCrew79 says, she hot, but she needs better pics. So, folks out there, if you want to contribute, I imagine most of our listenership is a member of wikifeet.com. Find some good stuff, upload it, offer some good opinions. Talk to JCrew79 and see if you can get some more opinions from him on what he thinks about feet.
I don't think he's not interested in the feet though so much. I think he's
that's what's more interesting to me is that he's not even like a fan. He's just like casually chopping in. It's like, well, his feet they're pretty good. Need some better pictures.
I gotta say, 3 out of 5 seems high to me, honestly. But I haven't been to the site. I haven't done a thorough investigation. But yeah, that's just my.
As we talked about in the feet episode we did, I don't know what's a hot foot. I do not. I could recognize an ugly foot.
Sure, yeah.
But a hot foot, I couldn't tell you.
It's a utilitarian item. It's like a car tire. I'm not going to get turned on by it. And again, and no offense to Liz, but she is a very plain woman. I just don't. There's nothing particularly.
She's very plain. She's like literally like 4'10" or something like that. She's just this weird, tiny, mousy little broad.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess that plays into some of it. People probably picture Matt's big fat body just pillaging her pussy.
Yes.
Just picture that big fat load on top of her, just really going to town.
Nope, don't want it. On a similar note to that, an account with the handle @FeedUsInc tweeted out, "Didn't know Liz Bruenig had decent-sized boobs. You wouldn't think it just seeing her face." Don't know.
What?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I guess there's a correlation there. Some of their other tweets. I don't think there's anything children shouldn't learn about and see with their very own eyes. Always buddy up when you go cruising for safety and for the off chance you can't find anyone. And then just a bunch of photos of guys pissing. So.
just fellers,
just fellers straight
hanging it
and
out.
It's those weird, like, obviously they were taken in like the Ukraine or something. It's just some guy in like some guy that looks completely uninterested, like holding his penis, like looking dejectedly at the camera, just shooting out urine the color of like iced tea. Just like, okay. And there's a lot of them.
Southern iced tea or
it's sun tea. It's been baking for a bit.
Ooh, boy, yeah. I've never known there to be a correlation between face and tits. She has that big tits face.
She got the face of a woman with much larger tits. I wonder what happened there. Yeah, not sure. I'm not sure if there's a correlation between fullness and of the face and fullness of the breasts.
I guess that would be the only thing you can say is if she has a full face, you could presume that means she has a fuller body with. But that's the best you can do. It's not like there's a facial structure that indicates tit size necessarily.
No.
Believe you me, from my studies, I can account for this.
You're just pinging women left and right. Big tits, medium tits, no tits.
So Lizzie, she made fun of Noah Berlatsky, who's another one of these just online guys. I don't want to ever. I'm sad that I even know the name. Just he's some online journalist.
Yeah, he's a writer or something. Yeah, he just looking it up right now. He just he just tweeted that he's going to be rewatching Star Trek DS9. Deep Space Nine.
Please, can someone please hunt
you
these
can
people
follow
down
all
and just
my
end
ratings.
their lives? I don't want to hear from any of them anymore. They don't matter.
You can follow my ratings and reviews here for $2 a month and then post to his Patreon.
Jesus Christ. Please, someone in my misery, just either hunt them down or hunt me down. Either one. I'm good. Okay? So anyway, Liz made fun of him and called him a pedophile, which was kind of a big deal. Noah has a child that is apparently trans, and her comment about him being a pedophile inspired all sorts of ridiculous discourse as a result of that. Noah himself said, I don't really know much about Bruenigs' relationship to her children, but one of the most accepted and common ways in which people hurt and abuse kids currently is that parents treat their queer kids like crap. I hope if her children are queer or trans, that she will be willing to tell them that queer sex is not sinful, rather than blocking them the way she blocks people on Twitter who ask the question. So, in Noah's viewpoint, one of the most sinful things a parent could do to their child is to block them on Twitter.
Coming down to breakfast in the morning, a real awkward silence after mom blocks you.
That would be very funny. But I just love this whole. This is a guy who's so online, where it's like
he equates that. Yeah. He equates
that
the
with
act of blocking to
writing you out of the will is blocking to this guy.
Yeah, my mom. She disowned me. She blocked me IRL. Actually, is what it was that she did.
Goddamn, being blocked by your parents online is very funny.
It would be cool.
As usually someone who has actually blocked my mom on some social medias, I can totally relate.
Usually it's the other way of blocking them from seeing what you're doing.
Oh, that's right.
Good God almighty. Well, speaking of Liz calling Noah a pedo, a lady by the name of Catherine Brightbill tweeted out this thread in response to Liz's little dig. Yo, New York Times. You should do something about your employee, Elizabeth Bruenigs, starting a targeted harassment campaign by implying that someone is a pedophile for supporting his trans child. People are now picking up the torch and lying that he wants to do away with the age of consent.
Ooh.
Elizabeth Bruenig knew full well what she was doing and that people would fill in the bits that she left unsaid to avoid getting sued for defamation. And she's now put it into the discourse that supporting trans kids makes people pedophiles. You okay with that, New York Times? And so we're clear on the timeline. 1. Jude Doyle writes about dudes using Substack to run targeted harassment campaigns. Of course they did. 2. Several of those dudes, including a Liz BFF, respond by starting new targeted harassment campaigns. 3. Liz jumps in to start her own harassment campaign. All of the parties involved in running targeted harassment campaigns, including New York Times employee Elizabeth Bruenig, are doing what sure as hell looks like a coordinated style Gamergate attack on anyone who vocally advocates for the rights of trans children.
Jesus Christ. If you're talking about Gamergate at this point, just Jesus. That's like 8 years old now.
Pack it in.
Ugh.
A Gamergate style attack. A coordinated attack. No, it's just somebody saw that tweet come up in their timeline. They're like, I am going to get on. I have a good burn.
You know what? That's a big thing lately.
The dog pile, for sure.
Well, it's the dog pile plus the fake dog pile where people are like, oh my God, someone is sicking their dogs on me. It's like, no, you're just...
No, you are that fucking stupid.
Like 6 people are making fun of you, and that's it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't take much to get... Well, it's like, if you're someone who isn't used to, like, a lot of people going after you, you get, like, 10 folks in your mentions, it feels like a goddamn avalanche. It's like, no, it was... one person made fun of you and now 10 of their followers are making fun of you. Like that's all it takes for you to feel like you're being violently electronically raped online.
It's like, so funny too, because somebody will post something like hey at Jack, like, is this cool at some, and then they'll like quote tweet it and it'll be like somebody saying like pee pee poo poo to them.
Absolutely.
They're like, this is violence.
Well, we'll talk about that at a later time. There's some good stuff with that.
Also, just anything. Jude Doyle is such a funny person to include in this as well, because that person feels they're being targeted by the wind. They can't go leave their house because they're afraid of literally everything. So, not a great ally to have in this fight, I would say.
Every single one of these perverts are even more worse than the other.
Do you know what the whole thing about the him saying, or Noah implying that he was going to do away with age of consent, was that he said, if my kid was 12 and wanted to get a tattoo, I probably would let my kid do it, which then was spun into Noah wants to get rid of age of consent. Not even in reference to this. This is like a tweet from like years ago that he put out.
But that really just goes to the root of the problem. Is like, why are you talking about that at all? Like, why are you even talking about your kid getting a tattoo?
Who knows? I think, yeah.
It's just because these people just have to talk about every fucking thought that crosses their mind.
Yes, it's true.
That's what most of this shit is any of these like people like Liz and Noah, whoever else. It's because they just can't. They don't censor themselves at all. They just speak whatever the hell is in their head at any given point. And because I guess it's because they're all like writers, so they just have to type stuff out just to say it.
Get a journal. Open up Word.
So that's something that Liz should do, is to write a journal so she doesn't have to just then say something horrific and then delete it. As she does with every tweet, as we mentioned, as she did with the tweet where she said that Noah was a pedophile, she actually then apologized for saying that. And then she deleted the apology, of course. But thankfully, there is a Twitter account called Bruenig Deletion Syndrome that screenshots all of her tweets. In March... Arthur Chu quote tweeted Liz and said, "I don't see the words 'I'm sorry' in here." And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about because Liz deleted that tweet. So people were then asking to Arthur, like, what the hell was the tweet that she said? And then a couple folks tagged in the Twitter account Bruenig Deletion Syndrome. Sure. And they eventually replied, "FYI, we actually stopped doing this on an active basis because it was bad for our brains." And despite no longer cataloging her tweets, the account still retweets people making fun of her several times a week. So it's very funny to imagine what happened to the person running this account, I guess the people running this account, where they were just screenshotting this random Catholic lady's tweets, and it was very hurtful to them in some way. And yet they still decided to keep the account active by retweeting people bashing the Bruenigs. I would say that if you figured out that, hey, maybe I shouldn't screenshot this person's account, it's actually bad for me, why don't you just delete the account and go on with your life?
Yeah, but all the work has been put in there. I mean, or, you could just automize it as a bot and just have it do it that way. Because I can understand manually doing that stuff would be destructive to your psyche after a certain amount of
sure,
time.
But even putting the effort into a bot, it's like, what are you doing? That's like if you're someone that like is having sex with a goat and then you buy condoms to wear to fuck the goat. It's like, what are you even doing? Like, why are you putting in the effort for this deranged behavior? Just fuck the goat and go about your day. You don't need to.
You're heard it here first, folks. Fuck the goat.
If you're putting in the safety, like when you're putting on a condom to fuck a goat, what's going through your mind? Like, man, am I at this point where can't I just jack off? Why am I doing this?
Very good. That classic Mark Twain quote.
I'm just doing the perfect analogy that everyone recognizes when you're fucking a goat and you put on a condom.
This you've said this before, so this is
again. That's why it's become a classic analogy here on reportthispost.com.
Great. Hey, Liz tweeted this out. Speaking of deleted tweets. Wait, while we're canceling cartoons, this was back when Space Jam 2 was announced and Pepe Le Pew was canceled.
Sure.
I've got one I wanted to cancel for a while. Poison Ivy. That lady is just a straight up rapist. She rapes people all the time. She rapes like minors. I feel like I'm losing my mind every time I see people slay queening her. This happens to be one of the multiple tweets that she's put out claiming that this particular fictional Batman villain is a rapist. I also believe this is the tweet that got me blocked when I quote tweeted it and said that she was retarded. So,
that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah, a lot of people don't like when you call them retarded online, I've noticed. So that might
it seems to get really stuck in their craw, even when it's true.
And yet, despite that, I feel like I could get her on the show, right?
Yeah, probably.
So I think we're going to try and get her on the program, folks, because I'm going to guess she won't listen to this episode. She won't even know what happens. In like a month, I'll reach out and be like, hey, we're doing a show about Catholicism, as one of you guys will undoubtedly purchase. We want to talk about that. And she'll be like, great, I can spread the word.
Yeah, this is like a digital mission trip, right?
Yeah. So canceling cartoons and then bring up Poison Ivy, which I don't think it's a comic book, not a cartoon.
I mean, there is a cartoon at one point that had her.
Did the cartoon rape people?
Not to my knowledge.
Is that part of the reason why you called her retarded? Was that's not the...
It's just she uses pheromones to get people to do what she wants. It's not sexual assault. That is my argument on the point.
Yeah,
that's
and
why
when a guy uses a gun to get what he wants, that's not rape either. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
She's a supervillain. Of course, she's going to do things that some people don't agree with.
I would say in general, if you have a character that's using plant pheromones to get what they want, feel free to not look at it from the most realistic point of view. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Like it's not rape.
Member.
It's someone's using chloroform to have a relationship.
I mean, that is that. Well,
not chloroform. Chlorophyll.
I was going to say chloroform would
actually
be a powerful way of having a relationship. Yeah,
is exactly what that is. Okay. So back when one of our most beloved patriots, Mr. Dr. Donald Trump, got the Chinese virus COVID-19, lots of folks online had some good content about that. This was from a user named Dr. Leanna Wen, which got over 480,000 faves. If Donald Trump were my patient in unstable condition plus contagious illness, and he suddenly left the hospital to go for a car ride that endangers himself and others, I would call security to restrain him and then perform a psychiatric evaluation to examine his decision-making capacity. Liz quote tweeted this and said, "This sucks." And a guy named @ZoundMine responded, "Why? Any responsible doctor would do that." And Liz responded, "If someone has AIDS and they'd like to leave treatment to resume a normal life and you can't be absolutely certain they won't infect others, would you call a security to forcibly restrain them and then try to have them involuntarily committed?" And a woman named LD Burnett screenshotted that and said, "How exactly does Elizabeth Bruenig think AIDS is transmitted? And why does she so righteously defend Donald Trump? She's woke like Stormfront is woke."
Nice. Nice, boys. You're making it to the mainstream. Just walking around like Pigpen from the Peanuts with a big cloud of AIDS.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really disagree with her. Like, it's not like you can't. If it's not like Trump had like, some insanely crazy scientific breakthrough disease that we don't know what to do with. He had COVID, which was, we all know what that was. You can't just tell someone like, "Yeah, we're going to restrain you from leaving because you have this COVID." Like, you just tell them like, "Okay, here's what you
don't want to do." Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not how that works. And it's kind of weird this doctor was like, "Yeah, I would restrain him and make sure he wouldn't leave the hospital." But it's like, you can't really do that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you got to think too, this is somebody's probably, their comment is also probably based upon knowing that that's going to either trigger people and or like people will be like, "That's right. Yeah, he should be in chains in hell."
Sure.
So,
Well, that's why the whole thing is so fucking stupid, is that there's no way to approach the president having COVID without making it some insane political bullshit. And Liz didn't help herself by bringing AIDS into the fucking conversation. She could have said so many things that wasn't AIDS, because you're just inviting a whole bunch of shit was by saying AIDS.
Yeah, that's very true. It probably shouldn't have. You could have easily said like some unidentifiable
lupus.
Disease that
just say lupus. No one cares about lupus.
I once got yelled at. For someone for making fun of Marfan syndrome, which is the thing that Abraham Lincoln supposedly had, where you grow really tall.
Yeah, that's like the guy from what My Giant had.
Yeah. And for like half a day, I had somebody in my replies like, "You really need to think about what you tweet before
Sure.
it could affect somebody." I was like, okay, so you got one person with Marfan syndrome that's coming after me out of however many people are on this website. They just happen to see
one guy with his giant phone typing these big ass letters at you.
He's got the iPad Pro as a cell phone.
One-handed, just typing. How dare you?
And going fast. That boy's fast with it too. He's got a real reach on those thumbs.
Guy's got a gateway computer in his pocket. He's just typing at you. How dare you, sir? Sir, you crossed the line, my friend. Why is he a Louisianian? How did we decide that? We both decided he's a Cajun fella. I don't know.
Nope. I didn't say anything. Cajuns are lovely people. Nobody yell at me about whatever is.
So you hate Marfan syndrome people, but you like the Cajuns. Okay, got it.
Add it to the wiki.